Try to smile, too, because we're on camera. Welcome to Speak Truth in Love with Clint Day from St. Simon's Island, Georgia on WCGA 1100 AM, where we do speak the truth in love based on Ephesians 4:15. In today's woke PC culture, there are many forces that want to stop free speech, especially for people of faith. Good men and women must be willing to stand up for their faith and be the salt and light to preserve our freedom. True freedom comes from faith in Jesus Christ. And John 8:32, God's Word says, the truth will set you free. And I just want to remind everyone, it's the end of the month of November, and November 11th in 1622, the Mayflower landed, right, or 1620, excuse me. And when you think about what happened in that particular time, the Mayflower Compact was signed, and it was one of the first forms of government here in America. And it was just something done at the last minute before the people got off the boat, between people of great faith, the Pilgrims, and others that were on the boat. But it's very simple, and I wanted to read that before we started our program today. In the name of God, amen, whose names are underwritten, the loyal subjects of our dread sovereign Lord King James, by the grace of God, Great Britain, France, and Ireland King, defender of the faith, etc., having undertaken for the glory of God and the advancement of Christian faith and the honor of our King and country, a voyage to plant the first colony in the northern parts of Virginia. To do these presents solemnly and mutually in the presence of God and one another, covenant and combine ourselves together into a civil body of politic for our better ordering and preservation and furtherance of the ends aforesaid, and by virtue hereof to enact, constitute, and frame such just and equal laws, ordinance, acts, constitutions, and offices from time to time, as there shall be most met and convenient for the general good of the colony, unto which we promise all submission and obedience. In witness thereof, we have hereunder subscribed our names at Cape Cod the 11th of November, in the year of our reign of our sovereign Lord King James of England, France and Ireland, and the 18th and of 2nd, the 54th Anno Domini 1620. That's kind of complicated, but the main thing that I wanted to read was having undertaken to the glory of God and the advancement of the Christian faith in honor of our King and country. And I just want to remind everyone, our country, as we know, was founded on Christian principles. A lot of these principles, this simple 200-word document signed by most of the men that were on that ship, is an amazing foundation for which our country is founded on. And we're getting away from it. And it's just a sad commentary on the United States, and we got to get back to it. And that's one of the reasons I'm excited about having a young man, Bryan Culver, with us today, who is an incredible businessman, just starting. He and his family and his bride are helping do this business here on St. Simon's. It's just really can go around the world and helping people with jobs and getting placements. And I just want to encourage him with whatever God calls him to do. And Bryan, will tell us what you're doing, you and your bride are doing.
Yeah, well, Clint, first of all, thanks for having me on.
It's great to have you.
It's been a pleasure to get to know you over the last year or so through our men's group on Tuesday mornings, and now we're here at podcast.
That's right.
Level, so that's super honoring. But yeah, no. So my wife and I, Amy, have been entrepreneurs now for probably. She left Robert Half when our oldest son turned 1, and that was 12 years ago.
Wow.
So she is such a good recruiter. In fact, she recruited me away from my sales career back in 2018, where that's all I knew was sales and working for somebody else and hitting quotas and numbers and steady paychecks and that kind of stuff. And you had that consistency, and then all of a sudden it's, hey, we're doing our own thing, which was kind of at the time kind of a leap of faith. But no, so we run a boutique legal search firm called 3L Search Partners. It is based off of our 3 L's. We were looking to kind of come up with a name that it was something that we could leave our boys, Lincoln, Lennox, and Layton.
Yes.
And we kind of came up with legacy, love, and legal. So it kind of turned into 3 L's.
Yes.
So But no, we focus primarily on working with small to mid-sized firms when they need help. Finding attorneys, paralegals, legal assistants. So a lot of our clients are in the Metro Atlanta area. That's where we're from. We lived in Roswell for 12 years almost. But no, it was exciting to kind of move down here and kind of start branching out to, working with local firms here.
Well, how would somebody get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah.
Start with that.
So our website is www.3lsearchpartners.com. So, or you can email me at bculver, that's BCULVER, at 3lsearchpartners.com.
Very good. Tell them again one more time.
bculver, BCULVER, at 3lsearchpartners.com.
Very good. Well, now I know you do a lot of great things to help people get placed. I know recently you were sharing one that you happen to help someone find a job, and I know you've helped lawyers. Describe helping somebody that's a lawyer or a legal person, legal assistant, whatever.
Yeah.
Describe how that process would help.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, when you make a career shift, I mean, it's a stressful process. You don't really want to trust, that to just anybody. So we're, really the thing that's most important to us is really taking the time to, build that trust with that attorney or paralegal, whoever we're working with, really getting to know, what's missing from their career, what their long-term goals are, what is, their pain point, whether it's, there's tons of reasons why people make shifts in their careers. It's, they're underpaid, they're undervalued, they're, in a toxic, environment, whether that's, they're getting verbally abused by their boss, or there's coworkers or somebody on their team is just making it just a very drama-filled, very toxic, negative environment. Challenging work is a reason we hear, a lot of, work-life balance, coming off of COVID. You've seen positions that have been historically, in office, working long, grueling hours. If you're attorneys, you got billable hour requirements you have to hit if you're on the defense side. And then all of a sudden, a year and a half, you're working from home, and that position that was typically in office and didn't have any flexibility, all of a sudden has work from home potential, and it can be done. So,
yes.
But no, it really is all about, really building those relationships, building that trust. Really loving on and serving others, and just as the same as Jesus did, love others and serve others.
Absolutely.
That's kind of the approach that we take.
Absolutely.
Love
God and love people, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yes,
that's it.
Well, now you mentioned legacy. I mean, that's such an important word, and I feel like there's so many things that we do in society today that we need to be very careful of what kind of legacy we're building for our family. And you mentioned that earlier. What kind of legacy do you want to build in your business? What kind of legacy do you want to build with your family?
Oh man, that's a very good question. I think with our boys, I really want them to see that you can do whatever you put your mind to. With me personally, if you would ask me 6 years ago, do you see yourself running a legal search firm? I would have told you you're crazy.
Yes.
No way, no heck, just no way. But here we are. I faced tons of challenges early in my career, from a period of 3 years where it was tough to hold a job, and I went through a very kind of challenging time, very dark time where I just didn't have a direction, just was lost. And, a lot of that stuff led to, depression. I drank a lot during those. Alcohol was a problem those couple years. And, but to see, come on under side and really kind of, and that's really even before we had a relationship with God. Mm-hmm. It's just, Amy kind of just put the idea out there. It was like, hey, we got to figure out what's good with you first, right? And that happened. And but no, it's really just if you put your trust in God and you just abide in His commandments, and to just trust that He will provide, He will never forsake you or abandon you. anything's possible, and
Right.
he will pull you through.
I understand totally. Well, help us understand what kind of got you off track. What made you feel like you feel like go to alcohol, whatever, to cover up any pain, or was it a situation where there's just so much pressure on you? You know, you just felt like you had to get some relief, and you thought in your head that was going to give you relief, but really probably didn't. But tell me what kind of brought you to that point.
A large part of my life, I still kind of struggle with this from time to time. It's a process where I'm going through, but I had those I'm not good enough kind of thoughts, and here I go again. Here's another failure. Here's another setback, and instead of it just forced me to deal with that rejection, that the lost sale, getting fired, just in terms of just woe is me. Here I go again. Here's the same person. Just that the mindset of the devil just telling you, hey, it's you're not gonna admit it. Here you go again. You're failing. You got fired again, right? You lost another client. It was just those lies that just pushed me towards that direction, and it just held me into that lie, that the bondage of you'll never be good enough.
Exactly. Do you think that the alcohol was part of the reason they were having troubles, obviously, with you working at a particular
absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
Exactly. So anybody out there, we just want to encourage you, if you're having an addiction issue, and we go that direction a lot with this program because I come out of that lifestyle. Fortunately, I was pretty young when I came out of it. But I always want to encourage anybody, if you're having trouble, you're getting a DUI especially, whatever, that's a major warning sign. If your spouse is calling in for sick for you or whatever, that is a major red flag. And if you're waking up and going, where did I park my car? I mean, that's another major red flag. So there are plenty of things that are going on, and I just want to encourage anybody out there that if you're dealing with that type of situation, it is going to have impact on you beyond just your immediate family if you're not careful. And it's already having an impact on your immediate family. So we want to encourage you to get out of that. So when you're thinking about this process, give us, if you don't mind, some more of the detail of what you and Amy were going through, because obviously she was working with you, being positive in your life. She wouldn't want to leave or whatever. She wanted to encourage you, but she also was seeing the red flags. How did she help you with that process? If you're willing to share.
Yeah, really, it's she was basically like covering, like she was the financial provider of for the family. Okay. And she just kind of just hustled and picked up the slack where I wasn't providing on my part.
Right.
And really kind of what inspired me to really kind of get past drinking was she quit drinking.
Right.
We did this program called 75 Hard, probably back in 2018 or somewhere around that time. But it's
So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back. This is Clint Day with Speak the Truth in Love. We'll be right back. Excellent. Very good. So when we come back into it, we'll talk about it. We'll come right back. Ready?
Move your mic a little closer to you. And then, Mr. Clint, when you get done to take the break, pause a little.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back to Speak the Truth in Love. Clint Day from St. Simons Island, Georgia. I'm here today with Bryan, and he's sharing a lot of what he and his wife were going through when he was having some struggles with keeping a job and the opportunities that were going to come before him going forward. And I'm so impressed with them as a couple today. I mean, it's amazing just in a few short years how God really turned their lives around. And you mentioned this program 75
Hard. Yep, it's a guy named Andy Frisella came up with this program. It's more of a mindset challenge. You have to have 2 45-minute workouts a day, drink a gallon of water, no alcohol, follow a diet, read 10 pages of nonfiction books a day, progress picture, which is that's always the part where most people get hung up at and forget because they forget to take the picture. But no, she did the program 2 or 3 times, and just she was feeling better. Had just a more positive mindset about her. She had more of she just looked at life differently. And, seeing that, every day.
So you were seeing the change in her.
Seeing the change every day in her inspired me to kind of do it. And
did you have any worry? Were you worried she might go somewhere else?
No.
in that process? You know, it's like she's looking pretty good.
She's
Taking care of herself.
taking care of herself.
And I'm over here doing what?
Same old, same old.
You're not taking care of yourself the
Right.
same way. So you're seeing this role model. She's having a great influence. She knows this is a legacy building opportunity.
Yep.
And you're responding to it. You're going, wow, I'm seeing some good changes in her. Now tell me again, this is a process where you basically are getting healthy.
Yeah.
So I assume you were losing weight in that process?
Yeah, so I've lost, Amy has lost probably over 100 or so pounds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Her kind of wake up moment was her
Right.
40th birthday party.
Right.
I'm probably down, I used to weigh probably close to like 240,
Mm-hmm.
245, so I'm probably 60, 75
Right.
pounds down myself.
Wow.
But it's I tell you, alcohol, I mean, it was the West, quit drinking,
Sure.
and it just, the weight just falls off. I mean, of course, we exercised, worked out on a daily basis, ate better, changed the diet. I mean, that's really where it all starts, is just what you put into your body. I mean, like, as it says, your body is a temple.
Absolutely.
And you got to honor and respect it. And we weren't doing that, just drinking and eating poorly and making bad choices. And, it was the whole process was just eye-opening and just.
Was there any legacy of that in y'all's family? Any alcoholism or anything like that?
My grandfather, my mom's side, he was alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first time that my mom caught me drinking back in high school, she gave me the talk about, now you're going to turn out just like your grandpa.
Ooh.
So, but no, like, our parents, her dad is a heavy drinker. My dad doesn't really drink that much. So it's just more of, her dad and my grandpa. So.
Yeah, because I grew up in a home where my dad was the son of a Baptist minister, but he had uncles that would come and have to detox in their house, literally sleep it off, and he'd a lot of times get kicked out of his room so that uncle could sleep. He'd be thrown on the couch while the uncle took over his room, and obviously he didn't live in a very big house or anything, but it had a profound impact on him. And I mean, growing up, we weren't even allowed to drink root beer. One of my favorite things to do now is drink root beer, IBC root beer, but it is root beer. But it's just amazing how that legacy, we want to change that legacy. And I know that you mentioned earlier in a conversation outside this show where that was a lot of what was going on and for y'all, as even your decision to move to South Georgia and the Golden Isles.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are out there, they're trying to decide, they're going, is this the best lifestyle for our family? And we faced that too 20-something years ago with our family. We had a daughter that had asthma, and we'd come here for vacation. She'd run up and down the beach like everything was fine. Then all of a sudden we go back to Atlanta with that pollution and stuff. She just couldn't breathe properly. And so we ended up moving down here. That was a big catalyst for us to come down here. And it was a great move. It was a great place to raise a family. But obviously, like in a lot of small towns, your children want to go to the bigger towns, right?
Right.
So now I got one in L.A., one in Atlanta, and two in Nashville. And the two in Nashville will never leave because that's what Atlanta used to be maybe 30 years ago.
Atlanta has changed so much.
Exactly, it has. Of course, I still love going there, seeing family. But when you think about that legacy, if someone's out there trying to figure out what do we do, how do we help raise our children, what are some major moves y'all made as you left really Cobb County schools?
Yeah, I mean, I really think the biggest change that we made was really, making the decision to rededicate our life to Christ. And that happened, we both grew up in the church. Amy's mom was, super strong in her faith, and she tried to, pour into her and her sister as friends, and that kind of pushed Amy out when she got into the college years and got onto, the college secular campuses and, went down that kind of lifestyle. I never really, we went to church every Sunday. We were part of youth group Wednesday nights, didn't miss a Wednesday night dinner, the trips we used to go on to, but nobody really taught me the importance of having a relationship with Jesus was. So once we made that a decision, once we really made the decision to rededicate our life and get baptized back in 21, I mean, our entire life's changed. I mean, we can look back and see, every step from how we went from East Cobb to here in St. Simon's. It was just all perfectly kind of laid out in front of us. And, from our house we live in, and we part of our story is we were part of the CBD company back in from like a couple of years, 3 or 4 years, and we met some really good friends of ours, Tina and Donnie, and really big believers, really strong in their faith, would share scripture all the time through like their Facebook posts, and they would invite people over to watch church with them, and it just kind of resonated with us. And we ultimately asked Donnie to baptize us. They put in a pool at their home, actually in Hendersonville, right outside Nashville, and he was like, "Hey, you gotta come up and check out the pool. Bring the kids, and they'll love it." And God just put in my heart one day. Just He played such a big role in getting us to open up our hearts to God. It only seemed right to have. And again, it was a God moment of, hey, call Donnie and ask him to baptize you. And I did. And he was like, hey, why don't you come up and we'll do it in the pool. And so it was, we did that Labor Day of 2021. 3 days after that, the house that we're in now just appeared on the market. And we were looking for homes, everything. There was either nothing or rent was, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Super crazy expensive. Mm-hmm. We're like, there's no way we can afford this. And we actually kind of contemplated either like, all right, if we don't find anything, we'll get an RV and just kind of cruise around the country, because we were coming off a big RV trip to Texas. Mm-hmm. But just thanks to God, this house opened up within our budget, and haven't seen anything like it since.
That's fantastic.
It's awesome. Yeah.
And so now, again, you went from
East Cobb to Rossville.
Yeah, public schools.
Went from public schools. So, yeah, so we once we were already entrepreneurs, so we were didn't have anybody to report to, didn't have to go into an office. We were working from home. COVID happened, which caused a lot of craziness. We had that last half of the semester where it was just more of a virtual semester, kind of figure it out as you go. And we took a family trip down to Ormond Beach that July, and they were starting to kind of talk about change, like here's what the new school year is going to look like. Here's some of the safety protocols. Here's policies, procedures, and it was just a mess. And we were like, well, what do we have to lose? I mean, we were already homeschooling the kids for a semester anyway, because they weren't getting anything from the virtual semester. So we were kind of taking it. We were doing it in shifts, mm-hmm. Working. I'd work. Amy would do the school with the kids. She would work. I would be with the boys.
Okay. Let's take another quick break. We'll pick the story back up. It's Clint Day with Speak Truth and Love. We'll be right back. So we got 3 more 7-minute segments.
Awesome.
Okay, very good.
Make sure you pause.
Okay.
After you.
Okay.
So I can.
Very good.
The buttons on this one.
Okay.
Okay. Ready?
Yes. Welcome back to Speak Truth and Love. Clint Day from St. Simon's Island, Georgia. I'm here today with Bryan, and he was describing how his family went the transition of going from public school to homeschooling during the COVID era and coming out of that. And go ahead and continue the story.
But no, again, it was, literally our decision to officially homeschool was another God moment. He spoke to both of us. It was like, hey, it's take the opportunity to pour into your kids, to spend more time with them. And like we couldn't be any more grateful for the decision to do that, and just affording us the opportunities to move here. People already thought we were crazy from, wanting to move from East Cobb, Great East Cobb, where people move to go to school systems, right? Because it's one of the best in Georgia. But it was just calling, and we were, obedient and listened to his calling, and just what we've gained from not have to the program they're in now is called Classical Conversations. And really kind of what their mission is, it's really to make God known, and for kids to know Him, to know God and make Him known to kids just through the classical subjects that kids learn through school. And it's been such a blessing. The people we've met, really to pour into them, Christian values, spend time with them, be around like-minded families who, want the same for their kids. Community is such a huge part of the program, and the kids love it. They actually enjoy going to school. They can kind of learn at their own pace. They don't have to be quiet for 8 hours a day or have to sit in a desk. They kind of get up and just kind of make it their own. And it's been just a freeing, such an awesome experience to spend every single day and with the boys and kind of actually know what
they're learning.
What they're learning, right?
Exactly. Now, how about their standardized testing that you do? Don't they require you to do some kind of standardized test to know how they're doing?
Yeah, that comes in more, I think, when they get into the high school. We did an Iowa test that after that virtual semester just to see kind of where we should start the boys. Oddly enough, they were kind of all Lincoln and Lennox were kind of the same. Lincoln was a little bit above Lennox in some areas, so which kind of obviously influenced our decision to get out of public school. But yeah, that kind of comes in more towards like the high school years when they really figure out, all right, now it's time for college.
Okay, well, a lot of people say, well, your kids, they need interaction with other kids. They need to be, quote, normalized, if you will, I guess, for lack of a better word. But again, the kids that I've seen that come out of homeschooling are extremely personable. They know how to talk to an adult better than the average person in many cases. I'm not going to say in all cases, but for sure. But I've just been so impressed with the results of what they've done. And again, we sent our children to private Christian school when we could, and of course they went to a private secular school, which literally got them ready for college. Because I came out of public schools, I preferred to send our children to public schools, but we just didn't feel like they were going to get the quality education that would help them go to college the way we had hoped. And we, of course, saw every one of them when they went to college. They excelled. They did really well because they were prepared. I'll admit I was not that prepared, but of course I was a partier and I didn't pay attention to grades like I should. So again, how is that process helping you to feel comfortable with the interaction you have with other people that are home?
Oh, I mean, the socialization piece I think has been. I think they get way more socialization now than they did with public schools. I mean, we have, church, the Kid Jam program at community church we go to, Lincoln, the middle school program that you're involved with them in. They do baseball, they do basketball, they do. I mean, the kids they hang out with now, they all hang out on a daily basis, or frequently outside of their school time. They do a co-op on Tuesdays, throughout the year. That's probably anywhere from 100 to 200 kids. I mean, you got kids coming from different counties to be a part of this thing. So it's 3 hours worth of electives. They get to hang out and choose what they want to do. So now the socialization piece is there. It's the same as kids who are in public school. So
yes. Well, I know Lincoln. We've seen him grow up through the middle school program, and I help lead sixth grade boys now, and taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade boys. And it's really exciting to see him take his leadership roles, and he's developing. And I know they're always throwing the baseball, throwing the football. He seems to favor baseball more. Yeah. And what are some of the things he's able to be involved with in our local community that have helped him become the athlete he wants to be?
Yeah, so he plays travel baseball with a group called Coastal Prospects. They do rec ball at the at Mallory Park here in St. Simons. He's got a couple instructors that he works with, frequently, periodically to help him kind of clean up some of his mechanics. He's doing a development program tonight that's run through Glen Academy. So yeah, there's a lot of different resources that he's kind of tapping into to kind of refine his skills and make him, hopefully get him ready for middle school baseball this year. So.
Right. Now, are there some laws? Have I heard of some of this type thing where they could be allowed to even play for a high school?
Yes.
Yes, because I've heard.
The Dexter-Mosley Act.
Okay.
So it basically says that, if a homeschool child is enrolled via an online class or a special program at whatever school they're districted for, they're eligible to play sports and do any type of extracurricular activity. So we have actually officially, we signed Link up last week for an online PE class. His buddy Mason did this last year through Jane Macon, took an online PE class. He's another one of Lincoln's baseball buddies, and just eats, sleeps, and breathes baseball. So he did this PE class online, and played middle school baseball last year. So yeah, so now the homeschool kids have that opportunity to take advantage of some of those things that kids who are actually in school can take advantage of. So
That is so good.
yeah.
And, well, we're going to take another quick break. This is Clint Day from Speak the Truth in Love. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Speak the Truth in Love with Clint Day from St. Simon's Island, Georgia. I'm here talking with Bryan, and we went down the homeschooling angle a lot more than I thought we would because, again, I just think I'm intrigued by that because I didn't have my children growing up in that environment, but I'm meeting more and more homeschoolers.
Yeah.
They're making the decision. And again, go back over some of the reasons y'all kind of decided that that's the direction you wanted to go.
Yeah, I mean, really, the mask policy was, we didn't want to have the inconsistency because Lincoln, he was diagnosed with ADHD back when he was in kindergarten, preschool, kindergarten age, and learning has been a challenge.
Right, and we've had that in our family, so it's very normal. I know my dad was that. He was never, given that label, if you would. Label's a bad word, but you know what I'm saying. But I mean, I can understand a lot of that too. But obviously, my dad was a very creative guy. Took a lot of risk. Couldn't fit him into a box. He was one of those guys that just had to get that energy out in other ways. And I completely understand that. Again, it's in our family too. So we completely understand that. It's amazing the creativity of a lot of those people that the schools try to fit into a box and say, sit down and be like all the other kids.
Yep.
But that's totally taking away their creativity. Yeah. It's stifling their creativity. Yep. And then a lot of parents have to choose to medicate, which makes it worse. So that totally, in my opinion, kind of creates a cycle that most people don't necessarily want to go down. Again, I'm not a doctor, don't want to try to tell someone else what to do with their child. It's totally their choice. But I think it's a very good thing about, like you're saying, with homeschooling that allows the creativity side to come out.
Yeah, no, and it's just to see, if you have your face covered up with a mask and you don't have that to read the lips and actually be able to really form, the syllables and to talk clearly and be able to communicate, without any obstruction. I mean, it puts a damper on, these kids, and it's who knows, the long-term effects that it's going to happen with kids who, I think it's already, there's documentation out there that a lot of these kids are going to have been set back in their kind of learning abilities just for, having to wear the mask over their face for a year and a half or whatever, how long it was. But, that was really kind of the driving force behind us. But then too, once we, again, kind of found, rededicated our life and wanted to God and wanted to live a life that's more honoring to Him and following His way, we kind of had to walk the walk and part of the legacy you asked me about earlier is that's what we want for our boys. We want to impart on our boys a legacy of, knowing God, trusting in His truths, His promises, loving and serving others like He did. And you just don't get that in public school. And, having the homeschool opportunity to be part of classical conversations where that's their core. We kind of prayed about, what options, were available for us here. And again, kind of another God movement, getting down here on the island, we met the director through basketball our first year down here. We met another family through baseball, the following season. Amy's cousin Michael married a friend of ours who moved down here to the island. Their family was part of the CC program. So it went from, praying about what options were available to us really realizing, hold on, he's already answered the prayer.
Yes.
He's bringing all these people into our lives. But I think that's part of the legacy that we want to live for the boys is just, a very, strong in your faith lifestyle legacy that's, that they put Him first, live their lives with those values, treat others like, God and Jesus did. And, hopefully, run businesses and be entrepreneurs and not be just be able to create whatever they want to create, whether that's, helping us with our recruiting business or, doing whatever else they wanted to down the road and not be confined to, into a box what this world, tends to say that you are most times. So
Absolutely. And again, I think that's when we look at our country, the immigration situation with people coming from all over the world wanting to come here. There's a reason they want to come to America. They don't want to go to China. They don't want to go to Russia. They don't want to go to Venezuela. They want to come to America because of the opportunities we've given them.
absolutely.
And anybody can do anything if they put their mind to it and are willing to work hard. Again, I'm not saying if you're 5'9", you're going to play basketball for the Lakers. We all understand that reality. But when I'm talking about if there's something that God has put in you,
You can do it.
to really, what you got to do is just start going for it. Being willing to take the risk, make the jump, which you and your family did. You said, we're going to take the risk, we're going to make the jump. We did it too when we moved here. We had a lot of things going on. It required me to go to Atlanta a lot, which it hurt me in a lot of ways with my family. I mean, it took away a lot of the time. But one of the things I've heard, and I've talked about a little bit in this program, is like 90% of your time is going to be with your child before they're 18 years old. And something like that. I mean, it's like 90%. It's a huge number.
Huge.
And so when you think about the time you're spending with them every day, and it's hard, I know it's not easy to get out the math book and you got to relearn some things. Maybe you don't want to relearn, or you at least got to direct them to how to find the right answer.
We found some good math resources.
Exactly. You got a tutor, a
Right.
friend. Maybe you're good at English or whatever, or good at business. And it's just such a practical way to do it. And I mean, I totally understand that, and I'm encouraged by what you're saying. But at the same time, I don't want to discourage someone that has their child in public school. If that's your choice, we completely understand it. And I, like I said earlier, I went to public school. Things turned out for me. I got a degree. I got a business degree. We did the entrepreneurial side, and we have a lot of good opportunity like that. So I just want to encourage people, though, recognizing how fast your life is, how fast life is changing. And I just think about Lincoln. What is he, 12, 13? 13. 5 more years, he's going to college. And so, and it's a fast 5 years. I remember going when my son was the youngest. We have 3 daughters and a son. And I remember the anguish I went through thinking about, okay, I got one at NYU, I got one at Auburn, got one at Ole Miss, and he's going soon, And I could just remember going, man, it was so fast. But when they're little babies, man, you're just like, does this ever end,
No, I remember, it remembers like just yesterday, Link was 1 and changing diapers, and now it's like, he's 2 years away from driving now.
Absolutely.
Crazy. But no, public school, I mean, it really you're right. There's nothing wrong with public school, and the challenge, a lot of people. I mean, what most people don't realize about homeschool. I mean, you have to, if you're in a 2-parent household, that's going to require a lot of commitment from one of the parents.
Absolutely.
And Amy, once we kind of established and because our business did take a little bit of a hit, during the quarantine period, and everybody was locked at home.
Sure, absolutely.
But once we kind of got that back up and running, again, it was we were on the RV trip that I was telling about. And
we're going to take a quick break. We'll talk about that a little bit. I think we'll come right back. This Clint Day with Speak the Truth in Love. We'll come right back. We got one more? This is it. Final segment. Welcome back to Speak the Truth in Love. Clint Day from St. Simon's Island, Georgia. I'm here today with Bryan Culver, sharing some incredible stories of how his family came here. One thing I do want to make sure, though, too, is if your child is in public school, I think it's incumbent upon you to really pay attention to what's being taught to them, and if anything happens in that school, to really pay attention. There are things that happen in my family situation that I wish I'd have been paying more attention to, because, again, it affects their worldview. And a lot of what's being taught in public schools, because of the broad spectrum of who they're trying to teach, and in a lot of cases, revisionist history that they want to teach, I'd just be very aware that your children are getting the truth no matter where they are, public school, private school, homeschooling, that they're getting the truth based on God's Word. And you talked about this adventuresome trip, and just tell us a little bit, a couple minutes about that trip.
So really, kind of where, Amy was, 'cause our situation now is, I mean, Amy is basically fully out of the recruiting business now. I mean, she likes to call herself the silent partner. So, but no, we were on, I can't remember the campground we were at, but it was in Louisiana. Amy was on this kayak, just floating around this huge. They have huge ponds out there, huge lake, and me and the boys were on those little kind of like the floating obstacle courses they have, right? And she was paddling around, and she just had this thought pop in her head, because at the time, like, she had a mobile, or I think she was she just at the boutique. She was hustling, like, kind of trying to support us, and she was like, what if she's heard a voice from God, is like, hey, what if you poured your time into your boys' education just as much as you did, your side business? What do you think would happen? And from there, she just, what they say, like, God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the call, right?
Yes.
And from that moment, she made the decision. All right, this is kind of, we're all in the homeschool. And what I was going to say earlier, like, anybody who's considering the homeschool path, I mean, it is a pretty big, sacrifice, commitment on one parent's part. I mean, it's a full-time job. And, we were fortunate enough that, God had blessed us with a successful business, and kind of got me past the challenges I had faced earlier in my career to manage it and run it, and provide for Amy and the boys, where she could really
Right.
kind of take what she felt God was calling her for, to really apply it to the boys, to make sure that, again, like, she was setting them up for have a great legacy and something they can.
How did you know that when y'all felt that she was hearing God? How do you think she knew that? Because, see, a lot of people say, well, how do you hear from God? I mean,
Yeah.
does he really speak? Usually not an audible voice, but that still small voice, maybe in the most unique times. But how did she know that?
I think it was just a sense of peace, just knowing that this is what I'm supposed to do, and just that conviction you have when God tells you to do something, and put something on your heart to do and to follow. And fortunately, she was attuned enough to listen, and to follow that voice, and
Be obedient. Be obedient in that. And again, I think about people that are you're in that choice decision time process. Maybe you're at a time of quietness, and you're enjoying seeing the scenes around you. I can see the sun's going down, kids are playing, whatever, and you're enjoying this time of family. And all of a sudden, God does speak to you in a supernatural way. And I really want to encourage you out there, if you're trying to find out what God wants you to do, to ask him, to say, Lord, what do you really want us to do?
Yeah.
And again, I think a key component, like you just said, is when you feel that call to do a certain thing, you're going to have peace with that decision. You're not going to have peace with the process, maybe, of what you got to do to make it happen. But obviously, that dependency on God and Holy Spirit to bring it out is where the difference is. And again, a lot of preparation that we've been in. I mean, I think about all the things I've been through in my life as a 64-year-old man, and the process of even coming to this podcast, this radio program, and the people that have been involved in shaping me to get me here, the decisions I've made in banking and politics and in business, and all the things that have molded me to be where I am, even teaching Sunday school to sixth grade boys. And it really does help you prepare. And then, of course, you think about taking on 3 young men, the most important investment you can ever make. Absolutely. That's the biggest part of what you do, is passing on that godly heritage, because that's what's missing in so many families.
Oh, yeah.
A mom and dad there.
Fathers especially.
So many families we know. And I want to encourage a man out there, if you're in a situation and you need to reinvest in your children, get back in there, get back in the game. Don't stand on the sidelines. And, of course, men that may not have children or have sons that have grown up or whatever, maybe it's time for you to go back in and invest where that single mom situation is that's beyond her control, because half the families out there today are pretty much single-family parent homes. And is the dad engaged? And so I want to encourage those dads to get engaged. If you're not, the ones that are, stay engaged, keep hanging in there, keep fighting for your family. And for the single mom, I hope you can find, and I believe that God can bring someone to help you with that young man or young lady in your family that needs that influence. and especially even as a grandfather role, if you will.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at the number of people that have been impacted by a grandfather, even people like Dr. Charles Stanley, who only spent a week or 9 days with his, quote, evangelist grandfather because he was a busy man, because his dad had died young. But that 1 week, I'm sure he spent other time with him, I know that. But that 1 week of investment of that grandfather had such a big impact. So if you're a granddad out there, I want to encourage you, stay involved.
Absolutely.
They will listen to you. They may not act like they are, but they are. They're paying attention to what's going on. So going back to what you're doing with your business, remind us again, give us a 30-second commercial, and then tell us how to get a hold of your business.
Yes. So we run a boutique legal search firm specializing in attorneys and paralegals. So, if you're a firm owner who is, more focused or needs to focus more on, bringing in revenue, growing your firm, doesn't necessarily have the time or patience to find and source candidates now or find the right fit, because believe me, it's a challenge in this market. We're your people, and our website is the number 3 lsearchpartners.com, or you can email me at bculver, Culver, at the number 3 lsearchpartners.com.
That's very good. And when I go back to this, I mean, I think about people I've hired in the past, and you went through traditional ways. Why is it advantageous for a person to say, okay, it's going to cost me so much money to have me hire the right person? Help us understand that.
Typically, some situations, we're probably cheaper than having a full HR department.
Yes.
Because you don't have insurance, you don't have the equipment costs to set these people up, insurance, salaries, that kind of stuff.
That's good. Well, and that's a very important thing. And you also can ask questions that I could get in trouble for.
That's right.
There are questions you can ask them that I cannot ask.
And most attorneys don't want to post.
Exactly. And a lot of that is your worldview, the way you want to see the world going forward, and the corporate environment you want to be in, and questions that I would be hard-pressed to ask that type of question.
Yeah.
So, Bryan, it's been great to have you here today, buddy.
It's been awesome.
So proud of you, buddy, for
Thank
you and Amy and your family. And again, Lincoln and your sons are amazing young men. I know God's got his hand on them in supernatural ways. And I just want to say, good day, friends. And I want to thank you again for joining us on 1100 a.m. WCGA out of St. Simons Island, Georgia. And remember, every day is a God day.
Awesome.